guys, this is Serah Gaming here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about 4 units that will be featuring in Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia CrossXIII YT era, which is Serah, Onion Knight, Noel, and of course Cid. Sorry, I've been speaking a bit too fast because right now we have 4 characters to feature and there's a lot to talk about in this 4, so I will be as fast as possible to finish up so that the video length won't be too long. Alright guys, I'm just joking, but regardless though, let's start with Onion Knight, and he's the easiest one to actually talk about because right now I'm just gonna say that he's gonna be a skip. Alright guys, for real though, unless he's a favorite, don't pull for him because he doesn't get a lot of rework outside his main kit. He does have very decent BT effect, with now 8 turns of 20% bravery cap up, 50% bravery damage up, 30% HP damage up, and 100% physical or magical attack up. Depends on the form that he stays when he uses BT finisher, either he's on the Sage form or he's on Ninja form. So for those who doesn't know, Onion Knight has 2 forms of BT finisher. Depends on the last attack that allows him to stay in which form before he perform his BT finisher. If he perform his Ninja BT finisher, he'll get 100% physical damage up to the entire party, and if he perform his Sage form BT finisher, which is more popular, he'll be providing 100% magical attack up to the entire party. His base skills, skill 1 and skill 2 surprisingly doesn't have any rework, and the rework mainly focuses on his EX. His EX now has 2 forms as usual. His Ninja form now deals 4 HP dumps, single target, and his Sage form now performs 2 HP dumps but splash damage. He does have a new HP attack which is now HP+++. The Ninja form provides fast turn rate and the Sage form provides splash damage, but that's about it. His LD doesn't get any rework, which is very surprising considering how long he has been since his last release. He only get an additional buff of 20% bravery damage up and 10% HP damage up to the entire party, and that's it. So no matter what you do, in my opinion, you do not green Onion Knight unless he's a favorite. Even if he's a favorite, you have to really consider an option. It's like Shintoto, but actually very minimal rework, especially given that he's a CrossXIII YT character. So yes, don't do it. Don't fucking do it. Fuck! Alright, I'm just joking. Alright guys, if you want to go for him, you go for him. Like I previously said and said a lot of times, CrossXIII YT era is where you can actually relax, so just do for your favorite and don't care about all these comments that I just mentioned about how bad Onion Knight is, but really, he's just really bad. Alright, I'll just stop right here. I'm not gonna say it again, I promise. But one thing good about Onion Knight though is that his additional ability, for those who don't know, the additional ability is gonna be upgraded as well. So in this case, Onion Knight does get his additional ability upgrade, which allowed the party to have Ice Enchant now for 7 turns for each additional ability he applied. So that might be a little bit positivity about what he can provide to the party, because like I said before, Ice Elemental Enchant is not very common and it might be really useful later down the line. Okay, so moving on, next we'll be talking about Serah Farron from Final Fantasy XIII, and she does get a rework and she's featured alongside Onion Knight, which is not a really good thing in my opinion, because I really like Serah and I think that her LD is going to be really good for a lot of new players, because given how she's an aura bot and a debuffer, which can serve really well in multiple occasions. But the fact that she's featured alongside Onion Knight means that the banner will be less favorable for most players, especially if you don't have Serah's LD. Her rework in her aura is not as apparent as what you can expect from JP, because Global does get the first rework the first time around when Serah came along. Right now she does 50% bravery damage up and 25% HP damage up, which is very good for an aura bot. Definitely an upgrade for what she had previously. And she also has an hefty brave regen right now, which provides 50% to herself and 30% to an ally every time before they begin their own turn. On top of those reworks, she also gained a lot in her skill 1, skill 2, LD and EX, and as well as additional ability. Right now her additional ability has an add up of 2 duration to 7 turns, and it provides bravery damage limit up by 10%, stolen bravery limit up by 10%, and brave gain to the entire party by 10%. And her skill 1 now does 2 HP dump, which also batteries the entire party based on her HP damage. And her skill 2 now does 3 HP dumps, which also battery the entire party based on her HP damage. Her EX now has 2 HP dump, which is weird because EX is actually weaker, has less HP dump than her skill 2. But it also buries the entire party, but this time based on her attack, it does provide a very good self buff to herself though. It increased her attack up by 80%, which ties really well with the battery. Her LD now has 4 HP dump, which also recovers her bravery based on the HP damage dealt. So in short, I can say that Serah is now very hard to break. She recovers bravery on all her HP attack, so she's no longer gonna start at 0 bravery. So in that case, Serah is actually really good. In my opinion, the rework actually does pretty well for Serah. She now hits harder, she has better auras, and even the additional ability also works really well with her entire kit. So I think Serah can be worth going for if you don't have her, even though she's in a very less desirable banner. So for the next one, we'll be getting Cid, which will be the newest LD that we'll be getting in this banner. So Cid does have a very good decent buff with his LD right now. His LD does win enchant to himself and increase his attack up by 40%, stolen bravery up by 30%, HP damage up by 20%, and also provide 40% bravery damage up when dealing elemental weakness damage. His LD now perform win bravery damage and HP attack performed by 9 times, and he now also has an overhead buff that increase stacks every time an ally takes a turn, which works similarly with Garnet or Dagger in this case. And after 3 stacks, he'll perform a follow-up attack, which will reset the stack back up to 1. The follow-up attack right now batteries the entire party and perform 2 bravery damage and HP attack by performing 6 times, which holy HP dumps, and inflict win in peril to all enemies. His skill 1 doesn't get any rework except an 80% splash right now, and his skill 2 now does 2 HP dump, but that's about it. His EX though, because previously he already does a lot of HP dumps, but right now instead of split HP damage, it does full HP damage to the entire enemy and increase the bravery damage up by 50% and stolen bravery by 20%. And his additional ability now increased from 3 turns to 4 turns, which increased by 1 duration, and it also provides attack up by 40% and bravery damage limit up by 40% on his kit. So I think Cid overall has a very loaded kit in his DPS department. He also provides win, enchant, and imperil, which enchant to himself though sadly, so he can still deal very good damage but by himself. And his follow-up attack is actually very nice, which, like I said, works similarly with Garnet, so I think he can work very well as an off-turn and an on-turn damage dealer, so you can see how much you want to use him. His on-turn himself doesn't get too much because his skill 1 and skill 2 doesn't get too big of a rework, but his off-turn damage with his follow-up attack though is gonna be very good. And lastly, we're gonna have Noel with his new shiny BT. And Noel is actually pretty unique. His BT right now provides a very interesting buff to himself mainly, but also a very good buff to the party. It doesn't decrease his ability usage during the active BT+, which lasts for 8 turns. It also doesn't. It also increases the recast speed of his EX ability. So Noel is basically just gonna spam his EX all day, every day. And it also increases a 50% max bravery damage cap to the party, and of course if you're attacking a broken target, increase 50% bravery damage up and 30% HP damage up. Overall, it's a very stacked BT which provides a lot of good auras to the party and especially to himself. But because of Noel's tendency to take up a lot of turn by himself, so this BT effect can be rather selfish because of how good it is catered to Noel's specific kit. The fact that the EX recast speed increase is only applicable to Noel itself is not really that amazing to the entire party, but Noel himself has a very good EX rework, so this can go really well with how Crystal level 90 make Noel's work. So Noel doesn't get a lot of rework in his base kit outside his EX. His EX now perform 3 hits bravery attack and 1 HP attack perform 6 times, which it's gonna be a huge amount of bravery dumps HP dumps right here. It's an ignore defense attack for those who wonder, and it has very good potency, and it now does 80% splash to non-target. It now also provides a very unique bravery attack to himself, which is now called Fear Siphon. And for this bravery attack, if used to break an enemy, it will immediately fill up his EX gauge to max and will grant him an instant turn, which means that if he breaks an enemy, he will immediately now perform his EX again. So Noel is basically just gonna be a very huge chunk of damage dealer that just spam all his EX. His EX is basically what his other buff provides him right now. Everything just provides him and set him up for him to use his EX again and again and again. His additional ability also, of course, does have an upgrade right now. It increased the attack, his own attack up by 30% and bravery damage cap up by 40%. So as you can see, the newest Crystal Level 90 era focuses a lot on the EX extension, so you'll get a very huge number of EX and HP dumps. And in that case, Noel is one of the very more apparent because all his, like I said, his buff, his BT and his new buff is basically focused on having Noel's performing his EX as much as possible. In terms of usability and who you think you want to go for in this 4 character, personally, I would skip all of them because I already have Serah and I already have Onion Knight. I don't have his BT though. I already have Noel's LD. I don't have his BT, but oh well. And I'm planning to skip on Cid because I don't really need an additional damage dealer that deals damage often. But right now, all 4 of them has different role in each category, so pairing them with the right unit is actually quite important. Onion Knight right now serve more as a hybrid between support, aura bot and an attacker himself. He does have a little bit good in his aura with the BT effect and the HP damage and bravery damage up, though I would suggest putting him into the Sage mode so he doesn't get so much turn rate, so that he doesn't burn through his BT effect. His swap shenanigan in his LD is still pretty good right now until Relm come, that is, so you can pair him with a lot of unit that can have a lot of benefit from taking turns. Even Noel himself can actually pair really well with Onion Knight. It depends on how you play them, because Noel is all about taking turns and all about getting that break and getting his EX ready. And of course, Serah herself function as an aura bot and a debuffer is very flexible in pairing with the unit, because I played Serah for quite a long time during her first release of her LD in global, and she's very easy to pair. She basically just need to apply 6 debuff, which it's counted by each enemy. It's not 6 debuff per enemy, it's 6 debuff on the entire battle. So if you have more enemies, it's a lot easier for her to fulfill her condition. And of course, as an aura bot herself, she's, like I said, very easy to pair with. Just pair her up with the right damage dealer and just watch how those damage perform really well with her in the party. Okay, so Cid is more of the another type of unit that requires a little bit planning. He's an off-turn damage dealer. Like I said, he doesn't do too well in his own turn except his EX and his LD attack. His skill 1 and skill 2 barely has any rework, but his follow-up attack is what you're really looking for, and therefore Cid, in my opinion, can pair really well with either turn hoggers or maybe off-turn damage dealers like Oren, Galoof, or even Garnet herself. Or if you're looking for turn hoggers, then the usual suspect like Tidus, Terra could also do really well with Cid in the party, because how often his LD overhead buff will be going off with his follow-up attack. And lastly, of course, Noel. Some people actually ask me whether he'll be really good with without his BT. I'll say that he's actually performing really well with just his LD because of how the extension buff up his EX, and his bravery attack now becomes an instant EX recharge ability. Depends on whether or not you're breaking the enemy. But his BT though is what makes him really crazy on his EX spamming. But so if you have his BT, he'll be really performing in as a damage dealer. But if you don't have him, he's still doing good damage, just not as performing as having his BT. That's gonna make a big difference in that sense. And of course, Noel, if you want to pair him with the right unit, make sure to pair him with units that gave him a lot of turns. Of course, you don't want to give him too much turns when his BT effect is active, because you might want to abuse that BT effect with some of your party members, because it does provide very good auras in attacking broken enemy. So if you ask me, the upcoming Relm's LD, Relm's gonna be very performing with Noel in the party. And of course, at the far edge, we have Lunafreya, who give a lot of turns to one particular unit. And I think even though Noel may be slightly power crap by then, but still he can really pair well with how Lunafreya giving him all the turns and watching him just performing with his EX. Of course, giving him multiple turns might affect how he recharge his EX, but like I said, amazing newly upgraded bravery attack, which actually increase his capability to recharge his EX in another way, so therefore making him viable to taking turns. Do note that you don't want to pair Noel with units that that breaks the enemy as and often, like Core or maybe Call of Darkness, because of how they break the enemy themselves and provides a very bad situation for Noel. I find Noel actually pairing really well with Vayne, because Vayne doesn't follow up his attack unless Noel breaks the enemy. So Cross actually has a green Vayne, if I remember correctly, and he's also a big fan of Noel. He also has an ongoing Noel saga, which he has been doing ever since Noel's LD release until now. So congrats to him for actually going through all the hardship, and now with Noel BT, he's gonna be performing even more. I'll put up the YouTube link for his YouTube channel in my description below, so you can go check it out. His Noel saga is actually really good, so do support him. Alright guys, I think that's it. Thank you again for watching. Right now I'm very glad that we don't have to go all full 20 minutes on explaining 4 characters over here, but I'm glad that I'm able to get this done within the time that I actually anticipated. So thanks again guys, and I'll see you guys the next time. Cheers guys.